Okay, guys, so I'm scrolling and I see this. So I'm like, okay, these are some biracial babies. But then I see another picture and that's the father. So I'm like, is anybody gonna tell him? So I do some digging and it's because she adopted two embryos and had them implanted, which means she must have chosen African embryos. So I already knew these comments was gonna be messy. But they blocked the comments for this post. So I go to the shares. This person says, fuck all of that. She couldn't adopt her own race. Why the black race? Why would y'all think this was okay when it's not on so many levels? I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. She could have adopted her own species. This person says, being born into slavery because I really feel like when they grow up, the parents are not going to treat them as they treat the other kids. This person says, this is sickening. I don't care. This is weird as fuck. This person says, why is it weird because she had black babies? That lady simply wanted children. Y'all put too much into everything. What's so weird about this? What's the difference if she adopted them after they were born? This way she makes a stronger connection with them. You guys are so judgy. So at first I'm like, who cares? Like, if an African American can find a home, bro, I don't care what fucking race takes him in. But at the same time, something inside of me was like, this isn't right. Now, let's say she didn't choose what race the embryos would be. I think a lot of us will be a bit more understanding. But I did some research. The parents received detailed information about the biological parents. This detailed information includes their medical history, family history, genetic history, race, ethnic background, physical traits, various parts, etc., etc. Patients have the opportunity to review this information and ask additional questions before making a decision about a perfect match. Adopting embryos of a different ethnicity. You have the choice of adopting a child of your own race, one of another race, no matter what their gender, age, or race may be. That means she chose them. And that right there raises a lot of red flags in some people. I had to do some learning, so I'm going to break down some of their points. Before I continue, I want to say that the points that I make doesn't mean that this is what she is doing necessarily, but there are people out here that is doing these things. Number one, there are white people that want to have mixed babies, but they don't want to have nothing to do with black people. They just want the qualities to have cute babies. Which to some people, it looks like you're fetishizing our race. A lot of people specifically want that badge of having non-white babies while not wanting to have any kind of intimacy with any other race. It's just weird. Number two, there can be a power imbalance when you bring black babies into a white household, which just means that there's a possibility that they can raise black kids to have microaggressions against their own race, or what people will say, basically just making them think negatively about their own race. The parents could be those mildly racist people that like do microaggressions. But then they'll say, I'm not racist, I have two black babies. Microaggressions is like passive aggressive racism. That would put those babies on a pedestal to be like, I'm not like them other blacks. Now I already know somebody gonna be like, Derrick, how would you know how it affects them? You don't have experience? You weren't raised in a white household? You right. So I found those people.
People were like, yeah, children with white moms tend to be a little anti-black. And I was like, shoot, I got a white mom. I will admit that there was some definite anti-blackness like stuff when I lived with my white mom.
And my grandmother sees my brother's shirt, and he's wearing a shirt that looks just like this with Malcolm X and the rifle. And my grandma's like, really? Malcolm X with a gun? So violent.
You live in a predominantly white area in a country that's controlled by whiteness. The information that you receive about black people from society is all just stereotypes. This is what can cause them to begin to see their blackness in a negative light. Because no one at home is mentioning their blackness and how it's powerful and beautiful.
This is a Facebook post from my uncle. You can pause to read if you want. But basically, he was saying that he'll kill any Black Lives Matter or Antifa protester if defund the police were to actually be achieved. He knows I'm very passionate about Black Lives Matter and have always been attending or organizing protests. So when he says stuff like that, he's directly threatening my life.
So many commenters were saying things like, oh, I didn't know my culture. I have a white mom and I didn't know my culture. Why would you expect a white woman to teach you about your black culture? Where was your black father?
Which in this situation, there is no black father because they just implanted the embryo.
Well, my mom was definitely like this before she had me, before they met. And she, like, the family was worse. Like, honestly, they had a nickname for my dad. It involved the N-word. That was really hard to find out. In elementary school, I remember, like, telling people that I was white. Like, I never said black. And if people asked, I would say, oh, well, white and black. I would always put white first. And, like, I hated my hair. Like, I hated it.
If you want your child to be proud of who they are, their blackness is a part of that. You can't just pick and choose parts of our identity that you want to accept and dismiss the others. That just further reinforces the idea that blackness is taboo and negative. Additionally, mixed people aren't superhuman. You didn't just create a new category of race by sleeping with a black man. Our blackness doesn't just disappear, it's still there. If you say that you don't feel the need to talk about color, then you're just saying that you want to remain ignorant. Not to just our experiences, but also the greatness in our black identity.
So now nobody can say that's not a real thing. Another thing that I want to say is these might not even be black babies. I'm aware that some babies can look darker when they first come out. But if I was white and my babies came out that dark...
Kiari, you are not...
What do you think about this? I hope this video gives a lot of people a new perspective. Also, we are almost at 300k followers. So if you like this content, can you follow the page for me? Energy on dead end.